All right, let's start with Chapter 4, Part 2. To start out, I'm going to ask my good friend a question. Hey Siri, what does area mean?
A region or part of a town, a country, or the world. Do you want to hear the remaining one?
Yes.
The extent or measurement of a surface or piece of land.
Ooh, the extent or surface of a piece of land. Let's think about a football field, a football stadium. When we play a football game, we are talking about the inside of the football stadium. We say the football players play inside the field. They play the area of the field. Think about that one. Let's ask my good friend another question. Hey Siri. She didn't work so well. Let's try again. Hey Siri, what does perimeter mean?
The continuous line forming the boundary of a closed geometric figure. Do you want to hear the remaining one?
Nope, thanks Siri. The perimeter, the extent around the football field. That's what you have to run when you run the mile at school. You're running the perimeter of the field. Check it out. The perimeter is the outside of the field. So you play sports games on the area, you run around the perimeter. So when we talk about area, we're talking about the space on the inside of a shape versus the perimeter is the distance around the shape. We are going to be using algebra tiles to help us learn how to solve equations. So when we look at algebra tiles, they're named by their area. In other words, they're named by the amount of the center or the space in the center of them. We will find the perimeter, but we name them based on their area. So looking at this, we have our cute little tile down here in the middle. This tile has a distance of 1 by 1. Now if we're finding the area, we would multiply 1 by 1, which gives us 1 unit. So this tile we call the unit tile. It's 1 unit. All right. Now let's look at the X tile. This tile is 1 by X. Well, if we're finding the area, we would say X times 1 or 1 times X. We call this X units. When we multiply a variable or a letter by a number, if there's only one of it, it takes just the variable. We can say X units or 1X units. All right, how about this one? We have 1, see this unit tile will fit perfectly up there, by Y. So if we multiply that together, we have our Y tile, which we call Y units. All right, moving on. What about when we have, what shape is this? Ooh, it's a square. Well, if I multiply X times X, for example, if we were to multiply 2 times 2, we'd get 4. Well, X times X is X squared, hence it makes a square. So we say X squared units. This little 2 is an exponent. We call it squared. So this is our X squared tile. All right, what about this one? We have Y by Y. Well, when we multiply a letter to itself, we get Y squared. So this is our Y squared tile. It's Y squared units. And the last tile we're going to look at is this one. You will play with the X tile and notice that it matches up and the Y tile matches up. So we call this the XY tile because it's X by Y. Let's add the Y there. X by Y. So its area is XY. So we call it the XY tile. It's XY units. Units is the measurement, tile is the name. So we have our unit tile, our X tile, our X squared tile, our Y tile, Y squared tile, and our XY tile. Their value is 1 unit, 1y units, y squared units, x squared units, x units, x squared units, and xy units. When you multiply the length times the width, you get the area. The area is the tile's name. You're going to want to draw this in your notes. You're going to want to name it in your notes. I highly recommend you use color, since color will strongly help us to solve problems. All right, moving on. We look at the perimeter. When we have perimeter, we're adding all of the sides. So here, if we're looking at the perimeter of our unit tile, we're going to do 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1. Our perimeter is 4 units. Remember, we always want to label it with words. We want to use words to label to make a complete sentence out of our answer. All right, what about with our X tiles? Let's start with our X tile. Our X tile, and I like to start at the top left corner when I'm doing it, and I like to make my way around to the right so I don't get lost. So I have 1 plus X plus 1 plus X. Well, when I add this together, I can only add the things that are alike. So X and X are like terms, and 1 and 1 are like terms. So my answer winds up being 2x plus 2. I have 2 X tiles, or 2 X's, 2 sides, and 2 units. The units I can combine, the 2 sides I can combine. So the area around is 2x plus 2. If I'm looking at my x squared tile, I'm adding up x, start at the top left corner, plus x, plus x, plus x. Hey, they're all like terms. How many do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4x, and this is units. That is the perimeter, or the distance around. What about when we look at our Y tiles? Y tile. I start at my top left, and I have 1 plus Y plus 1 plus Y. I can only combine my like terms, so I have my Y's are like terms, my units are like terms, and I wind up with 2Y's plus 2. For my Y squared tile, I have, top left corner, Y plus Y plus Y plus Y. They're all like terms. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 Y's, so my perimeter is 4 Y units. Oh my goodness, what did I forget on my Y tile? I forgot to label my answer. We always want to label. All right, and lastly is our XY tile. Start at the top left corner. We have Y plus X plus Y plus X. I circle as I go, and I start at the top left corner because I don't want to leave anything out. And as we start to combine these tiles and find their perimeter, we're going to find that it's really easy to leave things out. So we want to make sure that we check them off or circle them as we go, and that we start at one point so that we know where to stop and we don't repeat or leave anything out. All right, so here I have Y's as like terms, and I have x's as like terms. So I wind up with 2y plus 2x units. So my answer for perimeter problems are 4 units, 2xy, I need units. Always go back and check your work. 4xy units, 2y plus 2 units, 4y units, and 2y plus 2x units. These are my perimeter for each of these tiles. Now, if I wanted to find the area of these tiles, area is actually our friend. Area is super simple when we are solving for tiles because area is the name of the tile. So the area of our X tile is X units, but because it's the area, we say units squared. So on perimeter, we say units. On area, we say units squared. And that goes even for when we're not using another language, like algebra tiles, but we're using real numbers. We still would say inches squared or feet squared, units squared. So for our X squared tile, we say x squared units squared. For our Y tile, the area is y units squared. For our XY tile, the area is xy units squared. All right? So let's try some practice problems. I would probably turn my page and write my practice problems on a blank page just to keep things simple. So for each figure I draw, I'd like you to draw it, and I would like for us to find the perimeter and the area. So the first one I'm going to draw looks like this. If you have a ruler, I highly recommend using one. All right, so what do we have here? Let me make this a little bit nicer. All right, here is our first image that we are going to find the perimeter and the area for. So, area. I like to start with area because it's the easiest. So you know what? I'm actually going to change the order that I wrote this because area is super easy when we're dealing with tiles. Area, we use A. A equals area. And I'm going to name my tiles. I have a unit tile and I have a Y tile. So my area is 1 plus Y units squared. Easy enough? For my perimeter, though, I need to start at the top left corner and work my way around. So I have 1, and I'm going to label it Y, 1, Y, 1, and 1. That is the distance of each side. So now I'm going to start again at my top left corner, and I'm going to write it out. Yes, you need to write it out. 1 plus Y plus 1 plus y plus 1 plus 1. We write it out because it helps us to not make any silly mistakes. Now, when I combine like terms, I like to use something that I call a slot machine or categories. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make a table, and here I have two different terms. I have a number term, some like to call it hashtag. Those would be my ones. And then I have a Y term. So I'm going to label my other category Y. I'm going to write these in, and I'm going to include the sign that comes before. So I have 1 Y plus 1 plus Y plus 1 plus 1. Now I can add it all up. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, and y plus y is a positive 2y. And of course, because it's perimeter, we say 4 plus 2y units. So here's our area. Oops. Here's our area. And here's our perimeter. You just solved your first problem. Let's try one more. For this one, let's draw an x squared tile. All right, there's my beautiful coloring job. I'm sure you'll do better. And I'm going to put next to it, let me outline it in gray so you can really see. I'm going to put next to it an X tile. And then I'm going to make sure to outline it just so I don't get confused because my pencil is colored. Okay, so first things first, I want to find the area because I know the area is so easy. All right, A equals, well, this is an x squared tile and this is an x tile. So my area is x squared plus x units. Units what? Units squared. That is my area. That part's done. Now we need to find the perimeter. And to find the perimeter, we need to label our sides. So again, start at the top left corner. The side of an x squared tile is not x squared. That is the area. The side of an x squared tile is just like we see here. It's x. So we have x, and the side, this top side of an x tile is 1. The side of an x tile is x. The bottom of an x tile is 1. The side of an x squared tile is x and x. So now we're going to make our way from left all the way around, and we're going to label it. So we have an x, that's here, plus 1, that's there, plus x right here, plus 1, plus x, plus x. And again, I'm going to make my slot machine or categories. I only have 2 categories. I have an x and a number. X, number. Those are my 2 categories. So I'm going to put down my x, plus 1, plus x, plus 1, plus x, plus x. Notice I'm checking it off as I go. I want to make sure that I get every single one because, again, as this gets larger, you're going to miss things. So you really want to make it visual. Add it all up. How many x's do I have? Whoa. Let's fix that. All right. How many x's do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4 x's. And 1 plus 1 is 2. So my perimeter equals 4x plus 2. How awesome is that? You just solved 2 area and perimeter problems. Pat yourself on the back. You are going to become an algebra tiles expert. So, I know I moved fast. You have the ability to play, to pause, and to repeat. So, go back. You've watched this once. Watch it again, pause, take really good notes. Make sure you show all your work for our practice.